Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's make a gravity ice dyed spiral. Okay, so I've done gravity spirals before, but I'm going to do this one just a little bit differently. I have the shirt turned inside out, and I've taken two of my plastic sawhorses, put them outside, and in between them I've put a piece of my vinyl guttering, and I have the vinyl guttering turned upside down. I'm going to take the shirt and stick the piece of guttering in the middle of the shirt. So between the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt. I'm going to start this spiral down in the lower portion of the shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find kind of the area where I'd like to start the spiral. Use a pair of my locking tweezers, attach them to that area, and start to spiral the shirt. I'm obviously not going to be able to spiral the entire shirt because I have the back side of the shirt on the other side of the guttering. As I'm twisting the locking tweezers with one hand, I'm using my other hand to make some folds in the shirt. And I'm going to try to kind of push all of these folds toward the middle. I want this little bunch on top of the vinyl guttering to be kind of small. I mean, I don't want it to spread out the whole width of the guttering. Okay, so that looks like it's about as much as I can spiral the shirt. The back of the shirt is just kind of hanging down below the guttering. You'll see it in another photo in a few minutes. For this shirt, I'm going to apply the dye in fairly narrow lines on the shirt. So I'm going to have a lot of white space left. I want to allow space for the dye to move. I'm starting with rustic brown from Dye Spin, and I'm going to apply this dye in a straight line going through the center of the spiral. Except I'm going to go really light on this color in the center of the spiral because I don't want it to just kind of form a muddy mess right there in the middle. I'm going to put very, very little dye in the center. Next, I'm going to apply red wine from Dharma Trading Company, and I'm going to add that color going through the center of the spiral, perpendicular to the rustic brown. The next color I'm going to add is Coral Pink from Dharma Trading Company. And I'm going to place that one in the center of one of the four areas that I've formed with the two colors I've already applied. Like I said, I'm leaving a lot of white space because I want to let these dyes split and move. In the section across from the Coral Pink, I'm going to add Wandwood from Happy Cat Tie-Dye. Then in the two remaining sections, I'm going to add Owlbear from Happy Cat Tie-Dye and Grecian Rose from Pro Chemical and Dye. Now I'm going to add some additional soda ash over the top of the dye and add on a pretty large chunk of ice. So it's summer here in the South, which means it gets really hot. I mean, I think it's in the 90s today, but our heat index is about 110. So if I use smaller pieces of ice, it's going to melt really fast. So I've frozen like some pretty large chunks of ice in these containers, which they're supposed to be disposable containers or ones that you can meal prep in. I've included some process photos so that you can see kind of how the shirt looked as the ice started to melt. In these photos, you can see the extra fabric that's on the back side of the shirt, which is hanging down below the piece of guttering. It only took probably about an hour or less for this ice to melt. And so when I came back, I didn't want the shirt to dry out, so I put some soda ash solution down inside of a plastic spray bottle, and I sprayed the shirt really well with the soda ash solution. Then I added another chunk of ice because there is some undissolved dye left sitting on top, and the color hasn't made it all the way to the edge of the shirt. So if you're new to tie-dyeing, you may ask why I didn't want the shirt to dry out. If the shirt dries out, the dye will quit bonding with the fabric, and I don't want that because my color isn't all the way down to the edge of the shirt yet. I know the shirt's probably going to dry out because it is so hot out here, but I don't want it to dry out before the color's made it all the way to the edge. Okay, so after this piece of ice melted, I came back and the dye had made it to the edge pretty well, but I went ahead and added one more smaller chunk of ice to the top of the shirt. I couldn't get it out of the container, so I just left it in the container for a couple minutes until it warmed up enough that I could take the container off. I left the shirt outside overnight, and it wasn't a full 24 hours, probably more like about 18, but the shirt had fully dried out by the next morning, so I went ahead and started rinsing it. I took it to my utility sink, and I started rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. After rinsing in cold for a while, I warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out any of the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Truthfully, I didn't have a whole lot of dye that came out of the shirt when I finally warmed the water up to hot. I did go ahead and do a quick soak like I normally do, and so I ran a little bit of hot water in my utility sink, added a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and just allowed the shirt to soak. I left it there until the water cooled off, and then I changed out the water. I think I only changed it out once though, before the water was remaining pretty much clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent into my washing machine, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so the shirt has been washed and dried, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out really cool. I really love the colors on this one. I think they flow really well together, and I got some really interesting and fun color splits too. So I love the way that you can see the definition of the spiral and that part of the spiral that kind of swoops up next to the neck of the shirt. And then the spiral just blends out into that really cool dye flow. Part of the spiral even sort of wraps around to the back part of the shirt. But that dye movement is just so cool. I really love that. How the colors just blend together on the back of the shirt. I had this one out photographing it. My husband walked in and commented on what a cool looking shirt this one was. He really liked this. And of course he sees a lot of tie-dye, so that's saying something. I think the brighter pops of red and coral really stand out on this shirt too. And the color split of that kind of mustard yellow on the back, that really adds to the dimension of the shirt as well. So I love the shirt. I think it turned out really cool. And I'm going to have to experiment with this method a little bit more because I think it's pretty fun. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching me experiment with this new gravity dye, I sure would appreciate it if you would like the video and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.